It's still very early, but I don't care. Jaden Ivey looks like a completely different player than he did in his first 2 years with the Detroit Pistons. How much of this is sustainable is, we'll have to find out, and surely some of it won't be. We'll touch on some of those numbers, but the vast majority feels very real. It feels sustainable. And it's not just because he's on a hot streak putting up good numbers, it's because his process has changed. The way that he's achieving these numbers is different. His context is different. He has a coach that's empowering him to play to his strengths and not bench him behind someone who's no longer in the league. He's playing with teammates who can actually shoot, that defenders have to respect. So when he attacks the rim, there aren't five defenders there waiting for him and clogging up the lane. Jaden Ivey's context is so much better this year than it was last year. Let's dive into the film, see what's improved, see how Ivey's changed, and why his process makes this leap feel very, very real. I'm Tyler Metcalf. Welcome to Film School. Let's dive in. One of the biggest reasons why Ivey's growth through these first 5 games feels so incredibly real and sustainable is because of the way he's changed his shot diet. Last year, he took about a third of his shots at the rim, in the mid range, and from three. Really, healthy, diverse shot diet with 35% of his shots coming at the rim. And that ranked in the 90th percentile at his position. But he's never been a good mid range shooter, even going back to college. So that's where a lot of the inefficiencies came from. This year, though, his at rim shot frequency is up to about 53% through his first 5 games. That is an insane number, and it's because he's taking out a lot of the really bad, inefficient mid range looks that he was taking last year and instead getting to the rim. Now, some of this change is surely due to coaching direction and what he's being empowered and kind of coached to do. A lot of it's due to improved strength and craft and recognition of the floor. But a lot of it is also because of how much more open the lane is for him because of the shooters that are on the floor with him. So as we can see here, Ivey just goes into a little dribble handoff and then just into a high pick and roll, and he's able to just execute and play a two-man game, where in the past it's always been a high pick and roll and then driving into four defenders. So instead of just dealing with two defenders in the past, he's having to deal with everyone in the lane. That's not the case so far this year. So as he comes off this Isaiah Stewart screen, Jared McCain's going to go over. Drummond's going to play drop. And Ivey does a really good job of just kind of slamming on the brakes, putting the rookie in jail, keeping him on his hip, maintaining his dribble. And while he's doing all of this, the weak side defenders kind of have to stay home. They can't dig down aggressively. Caleb Martin's gap defense here, he can't collapse to the nail, because if he does, then that's a kick out to Tim Hardaway Jr., who's a really solid spot up shooter. So he kind of has to stay home. In the corner, Kelly Oubre can't really fully commit and drop down to provide an additional wall to help out Drummond, because Tobias Harris would be left wide open in the corner. So instead, Ivey's now able to attack downhill. He has this really clear driving lane. He's able to use his strength to hold off the rookie, and then explodes, does a great job of extending, protecting the ball, beating Drummond to the spot, extending with his offhand, and finishing through the late contest. So this growth in Ivey's strength and craft is pairing perfectly with the fact that they now have off-ball shooters who the defense has to respect. All right, on this one, really similar result with weak side defenders having to respect off-ball shooters. Obviously, no Joel Embiid influences things here. No traditional rim protector, and lack of size by Philly, is a big hindrance, but you play who's on the court. So as Ivey comes off this Tobias Harris screen, Tyrese Maxey goes over. Gershon Yabusele is in kind of drop coverage here. And the weak side defenders here can't rotate over as aggressively as they need to, since Philly doesn't have a actual rim protector on the floor. Instead of engaging their scramble defense, they're kind of staying home on Malik Beasley in the corner, Tim Hardaway Jr. above the break, Cade Cunningham, who's been shooting well, in the strong side corner, and you, especially at the NBA level, you just don't help off strong side corner. So Ivy does a really good job of throwing in a little hesitation move as he comes off the screen, and he now sees that he has two defenders basically committing to him. So he throws in that little hesitation to kind of fake the kickback to Tobias Harris, and since Harris is a solid shooter, defense has to respect that. That kind of sends Yabusele to just reeling back a few steps more towards the middle of the floor than in straight drop. He's instead veering a little more towards the middle. It's also a position he's not used to having to play. From here, as Ivy does a really good job of maintaining his dribble and keeping Maxey on his hip, he now sees a wide open driving lane and no one rotating over to take up that space. So he just explodes, wide open dunk, easy as you like. Now, this play is almost a throwback to old school. And it feels weird to say old school for a guy who's been in the league for 3 years, but old school Purdue version of Jaden Ivey. And this is sheer force of will, great use of his physical tools, great job of securing through multiple digs from three different players, the footwork extending through, decelerating off that left foot, changing his momentum and finishing angle. That's high level stuff that most athletes can't do, but it also points to another benefit of him being more aggressive and getting downhill and attacking the rim more frequently than he was last year, where he is getting fouled on 15.1% of his shot attempts now, which is up from 13.8 last year. That's good. That's a noted improvement, and one that you would expect when you attack the rim as much as he is. More importantly, though, and this is a testament to his improved kind of finishing craft and his improved strength, is that he is converting these and one opportunities. Last year, he was only at about 17.5% of finishing the shot while getting fouled. This year, that number is up to 38.5%. So 38.5% of the time that he's getting fouled on a shot, he's also making that shot and then having a chance at an and one opportunity. And that's because he's not settling for bad mid-range shots. He's being aggressive. He's utilizing his explosiveness, his strength, his physical tools, and attacking the rim. That, by giving yourself more opportunities to just get free points, efficient points, it unlocks so many different things and just raises the ceiling of the player in general. Ivy's improved rim pressure and aggressiveness of getting downhill obviously creates more scoring opportunities for himself and more efficient looks, but it also does that for his teammates as well. Now, Ivy's assist numbers in general are a little down from last year, but he's creating more efficient looks, and the points per possession he's generating out of the pick and roll, when you include his passes, are up from where they were last year, and that's because he's creating more efficient looks for his teammates. So even though this shot doesn't go in, the processing and the advantage creation by Ivy here is exactly what you want to see from a player with his skill set. So fun little Malik Beasley pick and roll here. Ivy does a great job of immediately attacking against Eric Gordon's aggression here, playing at the level, attacks against his momentum, cuts back, splits the defense, and now he has a free runway to the lane. Now, in the couple previous clips, we saw a similar thing, but him attacking from the left wing, got an open dunk because the weak side rotation wasn't there. Now we're seeing the processing with Ivy's ability to read and react to the defense improve here. As now that he attacks downhill, Yabusele makes the rotation that we saw Oubre not make in the previous clip, and instead of risking a charge or throwing up an inefficient look or potentially getting blocked, Ivy just makes the smart kick out to the wide open corner shooter. This is a great look for Tobias Harris. He's going to make this shot more often than not. This one happens to not go in, but the process in which they're getting these looks and how they're generating these opportunities is exactly what you want to see from this young team who has come nowhere close to generating these types of looks on a consistent basis over the last 2 years. The improved floor spacing combined with Ivey's continued aggressiveness getting downhill also creates great opportunities for open dunks, for cutters and rollers. Here, Cunningham's going to get walled up, shot clock's running low, he kicks out to Ivey, and instead of settling for a tough contested jumper, Ivey's aggressive and gets downhill. Cunningham does a really good job of just kind of setting a quick screen here, and that's going to force Ty Jerome to step up and switch on to Ivey, just like we saw in the previous clip where Ivey attacked against Eric Gordon's momentum. He's going to do the same thing to Ty Jerome here, beat him, and now he has a clear path to the rim. And unless Jared Allen rotates over, which he's about to do, which creates a 2v1 situation with Ivey and Duran going downhill. Since Tim Hardaway Jr.'s out here on the wing, Darius Garland is late to collapse down on Duran because from here, if Garland's a couple steps too low, Ivey's making that kick out to Hardaway, and three's going up late in the clock, so he kind of has to stay home. He has to stay in this passing lane since he's just one pass away. As Ivey attacks downhill, Jared Allen does his job. He rotates over, but since Garland has further to go to rotate, he can't get there in time. Ivey makes a smart dump off to Duran. He gets the easy dunk. The other major change or development in Ivey's game so far is how good he's been shooting from outside. This is always a tricky one because what's mechanical, what's just a hot streak, what is he getting better looks? And when we look at his shot distribution and efficiency numbers, they're really similar to last year, where he's shooting a really similar percent off the bounce. The distribution of open threes to guarded threes, and amount taken off the dribble versus off the catch is all really similar to what it was last year, even corner to above the break. There's not this big change. The big difference, though, is how efficient and effective he has been at knocking down open threes. Last year, when he was on open threes, he shot just 34%. This year, that's up to 51.7% through his first 5 games. Is that number going to sustain? No. I would be floored if he continues to shoot over 50% on open threes, but here's the key. If everything else maintains, because the distribution, the shot diet, the types of shots that he's taking are all really similar, he's just making the open ones. If that can maintain up around 40%, if not a little bit higher, that's going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely massive for his game, for the Pistons offense in general, because it opens up so many different things with the offense, like we'll see in the next couple clips here. But if Ivey can shoot 40% on open threes compared to the 34% he did last year, it'd be a huge step in the right direction with his shooting and overall offensive efficiency. Aside from the simple fact that just being a better shooter generates better numbers and better results, it also puts the defense on their heels and forces them to defend Ivey in a different way than they've had to in the past. So when Ivey gets the ball on the perimeter, especially off the catch now, the defense kind of has to respect him and at least close out an extra step than they did in the past. And with someone like Ivey, who has his level of first step, that's all he needs. So here he does a good job of just kind of relocating up to the top of the key to provide an outlet for Cade Cunningham, who kind of gets caught in the air here. And as that ball swings, Derek White is just a half step out further than, in the past he would have been. And since Ivey's already in movement, he's able to catch this and attack Derek White's momentum. Again, it's not much, but someone as fast and explosive as Ivey doesn't need a massive window. So now that he's already attacking downhill and the defense is rotating over, they have their backs turned to him, he's able to attack that closeout, get downhill, and he's now already in the paint basically before the defense kind of realizes it. He elevates, avoids the contact, and finishes. These are the types of easy buckets that just being a competent shooter from outside can generate for a player like Ivey. And similar to how he was able to create for others out of the pick and roll and getting downhill, he's able to do that attacking closeouts as well. So from here, Tobias Harris has Tyler Hero on a post up. The Heat don't like that matchup, so they're going to send a double here and leave Ivey, who's been a lethal shooter on open threes off the catch. Jaime Jaquez, since the double's coming, Jaime Jaquez has a long way to go to close out and kind of make this rotation to cover for his teammate, which then sends, the necessary weak side rotations as they need to go. So I believe that's Terry Rozier, lifts up out of the corner to take away Fontecchio, who's one pass away, and leave Malik Beasley in the corner. Ivey does a great job of not hesitating, immediately attacking this Jaquez closeout, a little jab step, and one step later, he's already beaten Jaquez. Now he's getting downhill, and Tyler Hero is his primary defender. But on the weak side here, Ivey has his head up. He knows that since the double was here and Jaquez rotated over from the weak side, that there is a 2v1 situation on the weak side. As he gets into the paint, he sees Malik Beasley is wide open, hands up as always, eager to shoot. Gotta love it, Malik. And without hesitation, delivers a live dribble skip pass right on target. Beasley gets an open look. It just doesn't fall. But again, this goes back to the process and the sustainability of it all. And this is really sustainable. This is really, really good process by Ivey and the Pistons all around. Jaden Ivey is playing the best basketball of his NBA career. And he's finally looking like the player we thought we were going to see when he came out of Purdue. Now, if you're hesitant about it, I get it. It's early. And, guys who just magically emerge like this in their third year, you want to take it with a grain of salt because you don't want to get hurt again. I'm willing to get hurt again because this feels very real. The numbers are great, but it's more so the process and how he's getting to these numbers that gets me really excited. The change in the shot selection by getting to the rim, collapsing the defense, and making the simple read out of that every single time is what we've been missing. Instead of settling for inefficient mid-range jumpers that he's never been good at, that's never been who he is as a player, getting those out of his game has paid immense dividends. It puts the defense under more pressure. He's drawing more fouls. He's getting more easy looks at the rim. He's creating better looks for his teammates both on the interior and from three, and he's converting more and one opportunities. This feels like the leap that we've been waiting for from Jaden Ivey. It's only been 5 games. But let's hope it continues.